Welcome to Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy Podcast. I am Rhonda K. Velders, a licensed professional counselor supervisor and the founder of Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy. Today is a special conversation that I'm going to introduce to you one of our newest counselors whose energy, and I'm not kidding, I love it. Like she is dynamite. And in fact, I actually said that to one of my other counselors yesterday when I was talking to I love having her around. So I don't mean to put her on the spot, but hey, right? But anyway, her curiosity, she asks questions. She's got a heart for people and for Jesus, which is perfect for this location and already adding something meaningful to our team.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. My name is Kailey Zatopek. I am a newly licensed LPCA, Licensed Professional Counselor Associate, in the state of Texas through the Texas Behavioral Health Executive Council, or BHEC. I practice under Rhonda's supervision clinically, and I'm just super excited to be here. Not just for this conversation today, but for this new season for me. This is my second month here of becoming a counselor and beginning to serve clients through Illuminated Pathways.
Excellent. Well, the word becoming matters. Counseling as a profession where education and licensure kind of meld together, and they are very important. The humility of what we do, the reflection and validating, and the different things that we do with our clients, it really does help us create a great conversation, not just the camaraderie within the business with working with everybody, but it's also just even working with our clients that the Lord brings our way. But for this season of becoming a counselor, and the beginning to serve clients through Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy, we are super excited about having her here. So I also been given the opportunity to become her supervisor. Now, everyone that becomes a licensee associate, they have to go find a supervisor.
Yes.
And so not only was I chosen, she also chose to work for us. So that's a 2-for-1 for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
I love it. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
choosing us,
of course.
and the willingness to keep learning. And, and I know that as those that are listening to our podcast today, they are going to find that Kailey's going to be somebody they're going to want to choose to sit with, and she just a lot of times, and I'm just going to kind of go off in a caveat here because this happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they look at me and they say, "Oh, you've got experience, and you have all these years of experience, which is about 18 years." And then the young ones will come in and say, "Well, will they take me serious?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well,
Yeah.
it's true, right?
Yeah.
Right?" And so, but it is they will take you serious when you command the confidence, which is something I try to teach too. And so, you went to school, you got your master's degree.
Yeah.
Are you going to live like life of a 50-year-old? No, you haven't traveled to 50 yet, but that doesn't mean you don't have wisdom that the God will give you through
Yeah.
his word and through the learning and education pieces, pulling all that together. And so listeners will hear all of that from your story today.
Yeah,
And I
that's
want you to
awesome.
know that you're kind of like, what do they say? You're wiser. You have wisdom beyond your years, I guess is what I want to say.
Yeah.
And so coming from that just really talks about your genuine walk.
Yeah.
And so before we begin, I want to just celebrate the recognition that means a great deal to our practice and the community we serve. Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy, LLC, for the second time as top 3 counseling business Harris County, Texas has to offer.
That's a really good way to start, right? Like recognition is just so important. And what excites me most about being here and seeing that recognition is what it represents, right? People feel support here, families feel welcomed here. And this practice is growing. It really is, but it's not losing its heart. It's not losing its Christian values, and its ethical service towards the community. And that's just wonderful to see that the community is recognizing that as well, and that I get to be a part of it.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
right.
yeah.
I always say the phone is ringing off the hook.
You said it today.
So it's pretty exciting. So exactly, Kailey. Today we'll talk about Kailey and how she chose counseling, the clients she feels called to support, the approaches she uses, but more importantly, the love of Jesus that's in her that just kind of will pour out why she wants we ultimately have the ability to bring people back to God's original design, but we meet them where they're at. So however they walk in, we're not preaching. That's not what we're doing. But we cannot take what the Lord has built in us and separate it away from us and walk into a room as a half a person.
Yeah.
So that's just really, it's part of who we are. That's right. So the beginning of Kailey's counseling journey, I would say, hey, Kailey, take us back to the beginning. What drew you toward counseling? What is that? What feels most exciting now that you're part, like you're an LPCA? What's that like?
I mean, it's just crazy to see how God worked in my life in that way, right? I've told you this before. I was a dancer growing up, you know, and that's what I thought I was going to do. And the Lord guided me this way, and I'm grateful every day that He did, right? So this past May, 2026, I graduated from Abilene Christian University with my master's in counseling psychology. So I just see therapy as a gift for me, as the clinician, but also I hope the clients see it as a gift as well. They're given the space to heal and to grow and just reach meaningful goals that fits their values. And it's a blessing for me because I get to be a unique part of that story that not a lot of a lot of people have the privilege to do, and that's just so exciting. And so right now I'm just ready to put those years of learning I just did into practice, right? Fresh out of graduation, that thoughtful, ethical, and strongly supported learning that I received at ACU, and now here with you, right? But every client brings a different story, so I just like to remain curious and present, and still holding to the education that I've received.
Excellent. Yeah. What surprised you most? What surprised you most about moving from the graduate training, I guess, to the actual clinical work, right? So like, and I know that you had to do practicum and internship, right? And there's that site piece, right? But once you like done all that and now you stepped into this new arena, what's that been like?
It's been a growing curve in the most positive way, honestly. I don't have to go into each session like, okay, you know, I know we're gonna do this, this, and this, right? Like I prepare before sessions, but I come in and I listen to what the client has to say that day, what patterns to notice, asking thoughtful questions, right? And just creating the safety in the room for them to understand their own experience and explore their own growth as well. And I just love watching people recognize strengths in themselves that they had just stopped seeing in themselves. A lot of people come in with feeling like, you know, I'm at my lowest right now, you know, and I love to see them grow and realize God has given me these strengths and abilities to get through what I'm going through, and it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I know that when I first met you over a Zoom interview, and just your excitement about your future really lit my heart up. Like, oh my gosh, this is somebody really on fire, ready to ready to work, ready like ready to jump in and whatever that takes. And then knowing that the kind of supervision I provide or the practice I run, I really am a hands-on person, and so there was no way, like when people had that excitement, I sometimes feel like I don't know what their internship was like, because I often hear, oh my gosh, I was just thrown into the ocean and I was supposed to swim, and like, and oh my gosh, I had sea legs, I didn't even know what to do, I didn't know where to stand up, right? I don't want to ever be that way, right? So I feel like for what we do here and how God has prepped me as being a supervisor is being able to make that excitement contagious. And it is grounded in responsibility, not just for you, but for me. Right? Because my name is tied to you for the next 3,000 hours that you have to get for your full licensure. And so we at least are going to have 18 months together, and maybe longer, but at least 18 months together. And I want to make sure that whatever that is that I provide you all the things that you need to help make you the most amazing, more than what you are, most amazing counselor, that wherever God places you, puts you, that you'll be ready to fly and go. New counselors bring fresh training and energy, which is what we've experienced with you. I mean, you jumped in before you even had a start date. We had an event in Missouri City, and so you came and you participated. We got new furniture and she helped move it. Like, it's just like all the different things, the excitement for her and for us, like she felt it, like, and so that was great. Supervision provides a place to slow down, trust the process. It's really important. I have different little cliches that I'll use that my supervisors gave me. And I just am going to pass those down because they were good. Initially, when I heard them, like, what? Trust what? Like, but anyway. So, but the idea is like just understanding that, think carefully and keep the client's well being at the center.
It's just really meaningful for me to begin my first clinical experience outside of school, at a practice that has earned the trust of the community. Like you said before, Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy, for the second time as a top 3 counseling business in Harris County, Texas has to offer. That's just so wonderful. And for me, that recognition adds motivation to my own work, that I know I'm part of something greater than myself. And I want every person I meet to experience care that is very thoughtful, respectful, and tailored just for them. Like, counseling is not a one size fits all approach. And so I want people to come in and realize that, I know that as well, that I want them to get care that is tailored just for them.
Right. You're right. It isn't one size fits all.
Yeah.
And every opportunity we have to meet with somebody, God owns a business, and you'll hear me say this often. If you haven't yet, God owns a business, and I have a pleasure of sitting in the chair that He's providing.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I would preach, and I'm an elder, ordained elder in the Church of the Nazarene, and when I would preach, that podium is that sanctified area, that sanctified place, that ordained spot. That's how I consider my chair.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
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 Because it's really what God has given you. If you really believe that God put you in a place to do counseling, then you have to really give that to Him and say,
Yes.
So when you imagine yourself a year from now, what do you hope will still be true about enthusiasm you feel today?
I mean, for one, I just hope this energy and this passion, it is still there, that I have, and I will fight every day to keep that, right? Because like you said, the Lord has put me here, and if He still has me here in a year, I need to have the energy and passion behind that as well, right? But also just keeping a healthy sense of wonder, right? I never want someone to walk in feeling like their story is just like routine because the concern sounds familiar. Two people can say they experience anxiety, but that can mean different things for them, right?
Right.
Like, one person, the anxiety is pressure at work, and another maybe adjusting to a new school, a child, right? Adjusting to a new school, and others might be living with the effects of a painful experience. And so I want to keep asking my clients, like, what does this feel like in your life? How does the anxiety present itself in your life? Because it's not the same for everyone. And I just hope I remain teachable as well.
Mhm.
That I want to learn from my client's experience, but also learn for myself as a clinician, and that my confidence continues to grow over the next year. But I don't want that confidence to replace the curiosity and the wonder and the genuine care for the people that walk into my office. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Confidence should grow, right?
Yeah.
So that grows over time. I can tell you, after I hired my coach, March of 2025, oh my gosh, I was on this fast learning curve. Like, I felt like he was pitching me some curveballs at 110 miles an hour, right? And so Clay Clark has done a really great job at helping Illuminated Pathways grow. And I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm not like, well, I'm not super old either, but I'm learning at a much later post technology. Like, I didn't grow up with technology like the younger people have. And so all these learning curves, like, I'm literally kind of shoved out there and going, hey, this is what you need to do. And I'm going, what? So, but that is a strong foundation, right? And that idea of like having somebody in my corner, like Clay Clark, I really believe that that's been really helpful. And knowing that he also loves Jesus and he wants the best for businesses and he wants the best for those things, it helps me also stay in that strong foundation to then pour into you, whatever those things are. And the best clinician keeps learning, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then on the side of, that's the business side, but as the clinician side of that, we just keep learning because people are complex, right? relationships are messy. Come on, right? Like we all have family, we all have Thanksgiving and Christmas, funerals and weddings, right? Like those all show up some point in time. So we study, we consult, practice skills, and remain open to feedback. Kailey's excitement is not simply excitement about having a new title. It's excitement about the privilege and responsibility of serving God's people well. So we're going to have Kailey share her hopes to serve, and so let's help the listeners picture, kind of like imagine, right? Who might feel at home working with you?
Okay.
Which populations are you especially excited about working with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So here, I work with clients beginning at age 4 all the way through adulthood. Individuals and couples who want the space to just heal and grow and regain that sense of control in their life, move towards goals that matter to them. With younger children, that means meeting them at their developmental level, right? With kids, this something that works with a child might not work with an adult, and so that's fun for me to play with as well, and help them communicate in ways that feel natural to them. With adolescents and adults, it means creating the space for them to understand their experience, strengthen skills, building upon those strengths we've already discovered in them that they already hold, right?
Right.
And make meaningful change in their life. With couples, it means helping both people feel heard while they work together towards healthier patterns and shared goals. That's an important piece of that as well. I believe every person brings strengths and gifts into counseling already without me having to say a word, right? They already have strengths in them. And sometimes my role is just to help them recognize that they have that, and offer just a thoughtful nudge of how they can use those strengths to better their life moving forward.
Yeah, often people don't want to be nudged.
Yeah.
Have you learned that yet? Have you seen that? Right?
Yes.
Like, what? You're telling me to do what? No. I always say, we might be complex, but we're not broken.
Yeah.
We're not. I always say, like, it's one of the things I say is like, we might be bent a little bit. We just need to be straightened out. You already have tools that you've used your whole life. But for some reason, they're just not working right now. We're going to get you back to a place where they were working. So we're just going to add new tools to your tool belt and kind of make that happen. And so when someone from one of those groups sits down with you, what do you hope they feel in the first few minutes with you? That, they always say, right, that the first, 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, that first impression is going to make or break the deal.
Yeah.
Right. You know that, right?
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, the
And I see
pressure is on, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
While like you said, the pressure is on, but I also, I don't want them to feel like they have to perform for me. Those first 2 or 3 minutes are important, but I don't want them to come into those 2 or 3 minutes feeling like they need to be somebody they're not. They can arrive unsure if they even want to be there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Overwhelmed with everything they've experienced. They can be quiet, right? I'm a new person for them, and I recognize that. I don't take it personally if it's hard at first to open up to a new person like that.
Right.
If they're skeptical about me, or even if they're skeptical about if they truly can be helped, right? Or even hopeful. Some people come in already, they're like, all right, I'm ready to go. And you see both sides of that spectrum, or little bits and pieces all at once, right?
Yeah.
Of all of those things. So my job first and foremost is to understand what matters to them and what do they want out of therapy? What do they want to do different? What are their goals? And from there, we build those goals and work towards them together. Yeah.
That collaborative beginning is super important, Kailey. A diagnosis or concern may help us organize treatment, but it never captures the whole person. So that's why I rarely, we're a practice that takes medical insurances, and so that sometimes can be a downer. I mean, I get it for the financial aspect for those who have insurances.
Yes.
But it's a downer for the purpose of, like, we always have to put a diagnosis to somebody. And then it becomes, some people will take it as a label. And so I don't usually like go into that with them in the therapy session. And so I want to teach you guys that it's not about that. It's what they're bringing in the room that day, because we could have this whole treatment plan put in place and we're ready to go week after week after week. But that day they come in, something tragic happened the day before or that morning or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that treatment plan ain't happening.
Yeah, we're
What's
shifting
that?
gears.
We're shifting gears
Yes.
and we're moving into that. So that's why that collaborative piece of understanding, we have to kind of really, it's a give and take in that room. And so in that relationship, while it's professional, we really want to be in that space with them. A diagnosis of concern does help for treatment, but it never captures, once again, that does not capture the whole person. We want to see strengths and relationships, culture, faith. When the client wants it included, and the practical realities in daily life. Let me share with you, there was one time, a couple of times actually. So let me give you two examples of what that last piece I just mentioned about the strengths, relationship, cultures, faith, and the client wants when they want it included, the practical realities of daily life. So I had one come in, and she's a Wiccan, right? And so she knew I was a Christian, and not only that, but like, I'm a pastor, right? So she didn't know what to do with that, and so but I just loved her and took care of her and brought her through. And so, you know, she knew who I was and I knew who she was, but that wasn't our focus of the treatment.
Yeah.
Like, right. Another one called and they said that they were atheists and they did not want to be preached at. And I said, well, that's good because we don't preach here, we counsel.
Yeah.
And so, like, when they get here, and no lie, it wasn't because of any preaching, but because of the consistency of being a genuine counselor and authentic. Months later, he found Jesus.
Wow. Yep.
I'm just saying, we don't know what God's going to do in this room.
Yeah.
It's not up to me. My job is just to be obedient and be in the cause and within the realms of what God's given me in my clinician work.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps you understand that whatever walks in the door, whoever walks in the door, right? It really is for us to be very clearly mindful and stated. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it's important for clients to know that, like, seeking help, seeking treatment, like, it doesn't mean they're a failure, right? Like, that's not why they're in here.
Yeah.
And one time I got asked, with me doing this job, man, you see the dark side of humanity a lot. I'm like, well, I get to know the whole person. I get to know the bright side too.
Right? Isn't that great?
Yeah, and so it's like, while one may be true, that's not my focus, right? My focus is to see the good in them and use that good to grow.
Pull
and
that out of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, it just know that they're not a failure walking in. Like, the reason they walk in is because they recognize, hey, I need a change, right? And they're willing to walk with me and build that structure and receive that compassion and learn those useful tools, right?
Right.
So that's really what they're coming in here for. It's not because they're broken and can't be helped. They're walking in because they're ready for help, right? So
they made that first step.
Yes,
For sure,
yeah.
right? So we got to honor that.
Yes.
Like, we just didn't pull them in off the street.
Yeah.
We didn't say, "Hey, you're coming in here. Let's go." Right? They made the appointment. They filled out the information that needed to get them here. So we have to honor them for sure.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
recognize that first step, however difficult that might have been.
Yeah.
But that's the piece of that, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that commitment to meeting people where they are is one reason this recognition feels so fitting. Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy for the second time as top 3 counseling businesses Harris County, Texas has to offer.
Yeah.
Kailey, if someone is wondering whether their concern is serious enough for counseling, what would you say?
There's no serious enough. You don't have to wait for the biggest life crisis, to walk through our door.
Amen.
Counseling can be, help when life feels unmanageable, right? But it can also just help when you notice a repeated pattern, face a transition in life,
Right.
new job, new school, kind of the stuff I talked about earlier too, wanting healthier relationships, or just needing a confidential spot to just sort through your thoughts, right? Might not be the biggest life crisis, but hey, I just need a space to share my thoughts and feelings, and in a safe place. And so we're here for both sides of that. You know, you don't have to be in crisis to be here.
What does it mean to you to work with a family system rather than seeing one person as the problem?
Yeah, that's good. You have to really just stay curious about the context that they're living in, right? People's behaviors affect the behaviors of another, and a pattern somebody is showing often makes more sense when we look at the communication and the roles and expectations, maybe the history of the family or groups that they're a part of, right? That does not mean blaming a family member or excusing harmful behavior, right? It means understanding that there's a larger picture to all of this. So change can be realistic if you take in all those contextual factors. And sometimes one person begins counseling and their growth changes the way the whole family interacts with one another.
Right.
The whole family doesn't have to come in, it's one person making that change, helps the whole family. In family work, though, when the entire family comes in, right, or parent child or what have you, we can help people slow down and listen differently, communicate their needs more clearly, and just practice new responses to that communication together.
Right. I know that, like, I've always said, I've been working I've been doing counseling for about 18 years.
Yeah.
So when I work with a child or a teen, I get the parent.
Yes.
And so the parents are always surprised when they come. You want me in the session? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you in the session.
Yeah.
Why? Because this is your child.
Yes.
And you shouldn't want me just only speaking over them. I mean, although I feel like my words will be godly over your child and your teen, but we need to hear you speak over your child, right?
Yes.
And help you grow so that whatever's going on with them, whether it be at home or at school, there's always an underlying piece of that. So that family system is God's ordained that. That's God's original design. Right. So our job is not just to look at one piece of that and pray that the rest of it falls in line. And we haven't done our part by bringing you in and participating in all that.
Yeah.
So so when we work with children and adolescents, development matters, right?
Yeah.
And it's often times where I will tell the parent when sometimes I'll hear, "Well, my child's acting like a kid." Well, he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah.
And so that's great. That means they're acting their age.
Yeah.
And when they hear that all of a sudden out of somebody that's not normally in their scope of their circle, right?
Yeah.
They'll go, "Oh my goodness." I said, your child could be very mature in some areas. And so that because they act more mature, we think that they should be older than what they are when they're really maybe still 13 or 14 or 8 or 9, right? And then when all of a sudden they have a meltdown, we go, "Well, what happened to them?" Well, they're probably developmentally acting their age.
Yeah.
Right. So,
exactly.
and I feel like that's really important. A young person may communicate their behavior through play or sometimes silence, and nobody likes the silence, but sometimes our best work as counselors is sitting in the silence and allowing our patients to take the time to process what's just happened. And that silence can be 10 minutes. I don't know if you've experienced that yet, but it's super healthy. And so usually the counselor has the bigger problem because we feel like we got to talk all the time, right? But it's really not necessary. I mean, it can really happen. And the creativity, I love, like, going for a walk. If we're going to teach like how to be healthy, I want to go outside and I want to walk with them. We do have opportunities to go to the park in the area here and just go reinforce those things. And then there's also painting. There's Lego building, there's, games, just different things that we can do. And before they explain everything in adult language, right, we can collaborate with caregivers and appropriately while protecting the therapeutic space. So I always tell my kiddos, like, your parents brought you here because they're concerned about you. And this is part of my informed consent that I want every clinician to do. Your parents brought you here, they care about you, they love you, they really are concerned, but I really want them to know that your relationship is very important to me. I want to keep that rapport very strong, right? And keep it together. But your parent has a right to your records.
Yeah.
So if you quit talking to your parent, they just get to have your copy of your records. They're going to learn what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I always say teaching them to effectively advocate for themselves respectfully, learn how to open the doors for communication. It allows the parents to get just enough of what they need.
Yes.
So they quit asking so many questions because now you're talking.
Yeah.
Right. So that idea, we were made for relationship, made for communication, made for, and that brings everything back to God's original design.
Yeah.
And so that's really important for me. So staying attentive, keeping a therapeutic space to safely do all those things in a young person's life. Once they know that, like, then it's much more, they adapt to that, right? When they realize that there's no secrets here. We don't hold things from your parents if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. And then the parents know that, and then they go, wow, this is not a normal counseling place. Well, because God runs this practice, right? Like, I have to answer to God. So do you, right? And as a believer, that's really important to me. So those that come through the door, that's just kind of how we operate.
Yeah. And that's one reason I love like an individualized treatment plan, because what might help an adult might not help a child in the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially, like I said earlier, the contextual factors of their family, even a child, 2 12-year-olds, the treatment plan's different.
Correct.
Right. And
correct.
Based on their where they're at, right, with the context of their family, their school, different things will work differently for them. And we just begin with a person, not an assumption,
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that like I love when I'm meeting new counselors or even field experience interim internship student graduate students, we are a field experience place for them too. And so we have 8 students with us this year. Yes, it was incredible. I feel God has really opened up opportunities with that. Well, then what that means then is there's all these different types of personalities like Kailey's that, and then mine, and we all have our own like niche. Like I love cognitive behavior therapy and anything that goes with that.
Yeah.
And I love, I don't know, I mean, Gal, I look at all my resources. I do love DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. I believe that that's really important too. But my most recent love is Dr. Robert Miller's image transformation therapy. I think it's a game changer across the board for anything. And so, but I get to teach those things. And so, but what happens though is when a new clinician licensed with the state comes in, they kind of bring in what they've kind of learned through their internships that they did in their field experience. And so people hear a word modality and then they go, what is that? Right.
Yeah.
And well, in plain language, it's just the way we do stuff, how we structure the session, the method of what we do to reach that goal that you're wanting. Right. Your goal becomes my goal. Right.
Yeah.
If it's reasonable, first of all, right. But if it's something like I go, I don't know, like, let's kind of reshape that, break it down a little bit. Let's make sure that that is really where you want to go. Because we might have set it too far out, and so kind of getting them to break it down. Once they do that, then they shape that how it needs to go, and it's still their goal, my goal, right? So now my job is to put things in place to help facilitate them to get to where they want to be. So ultimately, so which approaches are shaping your work, Kailey?
So I have 3 that I primarily lean into, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy, like you just mentioned, which in summary is just the connection between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. How do those interact with each other? Kind of creates a cycle, right? And so how do we stop that cycle and build a healthier one?
Right.
And then dialectical behavior therapy, another one that you just mentioned. It kind of offers building skills for things like mindfulness, emotional regulation, distress tolerance, and then building healthy relationships. So there's kind of 4 main aspects of that one. And then my third one I really like is acceptance and commitment therapy. It can help clients relate differently to difficult internal experiences, anxiety, depression, what have you. But not only deal with those differently, but also move towards their personally defined meaningful goals and values, right? What are your values? And is what you're doing right now reaching those values and those goals? And so while dealing with the hard things in life, how do I move myself towards the goals and the values that I hold. So,
right. Well, DBT, we both, I've kind of also said that one too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so one of the things that I have really enjoyed over the years, when you're in school, like you're not taught everything. I didn't even know play therapy was a thing or animal assisted therapy. And now I do both, right? Like, oh my goodness, like this is a game changer too, right? But that idea, like DBT really works well with those that are either on the spectrum or has special needs, and disciplines that are needing to help with them with social skills. And so we really are a practice that helps do that. And so one of the things I just kind of want to throw this in, because DBT takes a special kind of clinician, because it really is a discipline modality. It is not one that you go, well, we're just going to kind of change this pattern and do that. Like, no, it's kind of routine. You're having to significantly do routine. Well, this is really what those students or adults that come through here who have disabilities of some sort, that like learning disabilities, and we need to help them. So Kailey and I both do DBT.
Yes.
We both kind of have a niche for those that have learning disabilities. And the location that's in Missouri City is an autism school. And so we are placed inside that school. And I didn't know that at first. Right when I decided to join Dr. Lewis out there with King's Academy, but knowing that, like, God's prepared you. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
I mean, it gets me emotional.
Yeah.
Like, God's prepared you with a modality to help them.
Yes.
Right? Like, and I go, oh my gosh. Like, so when I met her, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
It's perfect.
It is so perfect. It is. And I just really wanted to point that out because, this isn't something that I believe that we just haphazardly put things in order and put them in place. This is real. And we're dealing with what God gives us and how he says, I have this special person for you. And I want you to nurture them and love them, help them, grow them, whatever those things are, and work alongside that parent and help them, because it's a struggle.
Yeah.
And so that's who we are with Illuminated Pathways. That's who Kailey is.
Yes.
And God's preparing her.
Yes.
And so when I met her, I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
It's through conversations I've had with her
Yeah.
that I've learned that. So I believe it's an ordained moment that we got, Kailey, and I don't think it's an accident. The method shared, and I just wanted to kind of share that. I think that was really kind of important.
Yeah.
And there's no other way around it. That's just kind of how you see me get emotional, because when you're dealing with people's, like, you're dealing with God's people, we are held at a higher standard. We are held accountable what we do, and ethically, like, don't play. Don't, and I often say, don't jack with the children. Like, right? Don't screw around with the kids. Like, you do what's right, and you help them and you guide them and you nurture them and you love them. But yet you can show them, hey, if you didn't like that response from your parents or at school, maybe we should change this, and help them see where they got to go. And that takes DBT to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And with the different modalities, right? A lot of them, the modalities hold a lot of structure to them, especially like DBT. And so there's a lot of worksheets and activities and exercises. And while, I am a big worksheet person, I love putting a worksheet down and, hey, let's talk through these things. But I never want the client feel like they are a worksheet, right? Like, or they're in school. Like the worksheet is not as important as the human being sitting right in front of me. And evidence-based tools give us direction in therapy, right? Help us build those skills. But the therapeutic relationship and the client's pace and developmental needs, their culture and preferences, that shapes how we use those evidence-based tools, right? So whenever I bring a worksheet in, it's not like, oh, here's almost a prescribed kind of thing. It's like, I learned all these things about you, and I think this will help you build a tool.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of use those exercises.
I love that tool, right? So on my website, that's kind of laced throughout there too, that we provide coping tools for you, a tool belt, or I don't know. I always call it my Mary Poppins bag, right? All the things in there with the big long lamp that comes out, right? Like, but I also believe that, like, those tools. So when I do worksheets, I'm very much into that too.
Yes.
Those worksheets, they'll say, well, I feel like I'm doing school again. And I'll say, I'm really sorry, but this is very different than a homework.
Yes.
This is something for your life to develop so that once we conquer this,
Yeah.
you won't struggle with this any longer. And once you kind of shape that for them, it becomes a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so what might a client take away from an early session?
Right. So just, first session or two, right? They might leave with a clear goal in mind of, okay, what is the goal that we're going to work towards in therapy? And maybe a new way to kind of look at what's happening, a practical strategy to try, a tool, right? A new tool, or just simply the relief of somebody's here to hear my story.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's what they walk away from with their first session, I would consider it a success because a lot of people, that's what they need.
Right.
First and foremost, they need somebody to hear their story and to help them. And progress can look like a major breakthrough, right? But it also can look like just pausing before reacting.
Right.
One new boundary, sleeping just, one extra hour a night, or having one more honest conversation with me, the clinician, or even with yourself, right? Being honest with yourself, for a brief moment, that's progress. And so that personalized whole person spirit is part of why I'm so excited to join this team, right?
Right.
Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy for the second time as top 3 counseling business Harris County, Texas has to offer.
Right.
Yeah.
One of, kind of going back to that early piece, like those early sessions.
Yes.
I'm pretty adamant about a process I do here.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? The first session?
Enlighten me.
So the intake, right?
Yes, the intake.
The intake is an 11-page document that I had developed. And so it is a thorough process of information.
Yes.
It doesn't just talk about your mental health. It's your physical health. It's the like things that you've gone through physically. It's culturally, like whether, just what's going on in your environment, what's going on in your societal norms. It's all of those things, the school, the military, if you're involved, jobs, chores, whether or not, you're up to date on, your immunizations, or is there, possibility of a vaccine injury? You just different things. And we collaborate with a couple of different psychiatrists. And then we also collaborate with chiropractic. And then I collaborate with an amazing doctor, Dr. Angelina Farella, with the Brighter Tomorrow Health and Wellness, and then Freedom Health Institute, which is now in the Galleria area. And the beautiful part about that is that we have developed relationships. Oh, goodness. We have developed relationships with the idea of my husband just photobombed us. I just needed to say that. Like, it got me there, right? So, nonetheless, whatever. But anyway, and I say all that because that says a lot about us and our community.
Yeah.
So this isn't like, we're trying to force our way into these relationships. These are relationships that are substantial, and they actually help all of the whole person, right? And so that intake is so critical. Many people will want it, and I'm just kind of set the precedence here. Many of our patients will come in and they'll want to like just unload all this information that they've carried for a while. But I'm asking my clinicians to kind of slow that process down a little bit, because I still want them to walk out with some sort of a tool.
Yes.
And so if there is this dump and we have no background to kind of know how to do a tool for them, then what we've done, we've actually kind of opened up Pandora's box, and we could probably do more damage.
Yeah.
So this is why I do the intake.
Yeah.
The way I do.
Right.
So following it piece by piece, all that, it helps me know, do I need to go ahead and send them for a physical? Do I need to send them for nutrition? Do they need a higher level of care, which is beyond me? Could it be inpatient or even outpatient, more so than what we are? I mean, it's all of those things. And without that intake, you miss vital information and data to help them. So by the time the second session comes, then you're able to kind of now, I'm going to hear from them and I'm going to give them a tool.
Yeah.
I'm going to hear from them and I'm going to give them a tool.
Yes.
And that's how that, it's just kind of this waltz, if you will.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, that the hope and healing just begins to kind of do that.
Yeah.
And so, as for listeners, I just want you to know, as Christian counseling, Illuminated Pathway openly offers biblically based care. We talk with clients about their preferences and integrate faith thoroughly and thoughtfully when it is part of their goals. And many times it's not, but I'm still going to be me.
Yeah.
Kailey's still going to be
Yes.
Kailey. Everyone that works for Illuminated Pathways loves Jesus, and Jesus is part of their life.
Yeah.
But we're growing.
Yeah.
And not everybody walks through the door knows Jesus.
Yeah.
So our job is not to preach at them, but to love them and walk them through things.
Yes.
So that's our accountability piece there. And clinical care remains purposeful, ethical, and tailored for the individual and for the family.
Yes, absolutely. And along with that, you mentioned like walking with the client, right? That's the therapeutic collaboration. And it might help listeners to just hear what collaboration actually sounds like in therapy, right? I might ask something like, what can I do to make, your life just a little bit better, right? While we're in here, when this problem is, how will you know when this problem is being resolved? How will you know? Not when I know. How will you know? What will you notice yourself doing differently, right? If this problem wasn't so big. And we can agree on just a small little, hey, here's something we can do. You can try doing between sessions. And then they come back and I'm like, hey, did it help any? Did it not? If not, that's okay. You didn't fail. That means we just need a new tool.
Right.
That's all. Therapy is not a lecture,
No. Oh my goodness, thank God.
Yes.
I don't even know if I would want to do the job if I had to lecture.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And sometimes when I go to write on the board, I'm like, Professor Kailey moment, but it's a process of just observing patterns, practicing new ones, adjusting and building on progress. Right. And so that's us two working together, but the client, like, I might be the one with the degree and the little letters behind my name, right? But they're an expert in their own life.
Hey,
I believe that so strongly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. See, that's the wisdom.
Yes.
Right there. And then that's a new counselor. So this tells me, like, the grounding foundational pieces, no matter how young we are, if we really are wrapping ourselves in, this is why I want to pour into you, Kailey.
Yeah.
Your age has nothing to do with what God's going to do with you in the room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Yes.
The other measuring tool about that, like that collaboration, like how did that go? Did it work for you?
Yeah.
Is that symptom checklist that we do, or the start your day form.
Every day.
Every time they come. Because that tells us, are they engaging? Are they involving? You want to know those things, right?
And I'll point it out to them. Hey, I noticed a reduction in these numbers. That's great. Well, what's been working that has reduced those numbers?
And so, and we want to have that, right? We really want to have those things. And we can actually do statistical data processes about how our clients are really doing.
Yes.
So yeah, that's really important. And progress is rarely a straight line. I don't know. Well, what I tell people, and I don't think I've shared this with you yet, but like, we want this in our life. This tells us that we're happy and alive and things are happening. We don't, this here, y'all know what this means, right? Like highs and lows, right?
Yeah.
And so, but this we want to see happen. So we want to go from here to like this, because if it's a straight line, that means you're about 6 foot under, right? There's no, like, you're dead, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, I don't want you there. Like, I want you to have life, right? And, kind of like a mermaid swimming in the water, right? So, and I just say, when we can do that, then we understand a difficult week does not erase growth. Right. So many times, like, oh my gosh, I failed, or if we're in recovery, I what is it they say to me? Miss Rhonda, you're going to be so upset with me. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because I relapsed. I'm like, aren't you glad? And they're like, what? Now you know you have a problem with addiction.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's fix that. What do we need to do now? And they're like, you're not mad? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, and they get surprised, like, whoa, that's okay.
Yeah.
And then they might cry at that moment, like, oh my gosh, she's not even mad. Why do I have to be mad? It's not this. You probably beat yourself up more about things. I really am a direct person too, even in therapy,
Mm.
but I'm not a jerk about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be with you in those moments,
Yeah.
but I'm also going to point out, like, okay, this is a pattern, and if you don't want that, then therapy is going to show patterns,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of the thing too. And then I think that if you know me in my personal life, out and wherever, yeah, I'm pretty direct, I'm pretty whatever, but in the therapy room, God does an amazing thing in this person right here. And so it's not like what you think. Now, I might be a little bit more direct about things than she is, but I have 18 years behind me.
Yes.
And so I've learned how to do things and learned, like, oh, yeah, we're not doing that again, right? Or whatever. So I think those are some of the things. And a counselor helps the client interpret that information, whatever the information, because especially when they come in and they say to me, oh, you're going to be mad at me, they're already carrying the shame.
Yes.
Right? I'm like, oh, no, 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 no.
No.
Shame is from the pit of hell.
Yes.
And it only comes from Satan. Yes. And Satan is the God, the father of all lies. And so I'm going to breathe life into you. I'm going to breathe hope into you and healing only through the place. I know where it comes from. Whether I say it that way to you or not doesn't matter. But I know it comes from God Almighty. And so he teaches me the things I need to do. He gives me those foundations. And then we will decide what comes next after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Shame has no place in the therapy room at all. And I want clients to know that. And another thing I want clients to know is that they can ask me questions, right? Like ask, I talked about worksheets earlier.
Right.
Feel free to ask me, hey, feels a little bit like schoolwork in here. Why are we doing this worksheet? I can tell you how that, hey, the goals we established together, right? I'm going to explain to you how this worksheet's going to help you accomplish that, right? Or you can tell me when something isn't working, if you're like, hey, we did this, relaxation exercise and, I really didn't like it as much as the one we did the week before. Great, we'll do the one we did the week before, right? That feedback helps us work more effectively, and in a strong therapeutic relationship has room for that honesty. And so just like the directness, right? Like I can be direct with you and you can be direct right back at me in the sense of,
absolutely,
hey, I didn't really connect with that exercise very much.
right.
That's okay. I don't take it personally. It's your growth, not it's not
Right.
mine. It's not my life,
Right. And sometimes when that happens, I will say, my job is just to rule out.
Yes.
So this might not, and I might even give that worksheet to them with that in mind.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm on the right track. Let's just kind of see if this even is something we're dealing with.
Yes.
And then I can rule that out if it's not. And if it is, then okay. And 9 times out of 10, it captures what we're working on.
Yeah.
But if I address it to them that way,
yeah,
then they go into it a little bit more learning about themselves and not thinking, God, what's this therapist doing to me? Right.
Yeah.
So, let's so with supervision, let's transition to supervision. Because I want other LPCAs to look at choosing me. Did I tell you that I put a new page on our website?
Oh,
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, so
Okay,
when you have time, you have to go look.
Yes.
So I built me a new Canva that has to do with supervision and all that. And so, and my goal is to start learning, not learning, but start presenting continuing education, and then open up opportunities to become a speaker at places. And so, but yeah, so it's out there. So it's under services on the website. So, okay, so let's see here. The letters after our name. Yeah. Right. So LPCA, AAT. I kind of removed the AAT, but it's animal assisted therapist. I am one. And that means I just have animal therapy dogs who are okay. So here's the difference of, let me kind of share that a little bit. So in the NASA Bay area, we have Dwight and we have Bella, who's in training. Dwight is a therapy dog. So animal assisted therapist is someone who has gone to take classes to become certified to be an animal assisted therapist. Me. So I went to University of North Texas, and I took 9 hours, so 3 classes. and to become this, right? And so again, I didn't know this when I was in grad school. So this is beyond grad school. So when I find something, I go, oh my gosh, that's powerful. And I learned about it, right? So there's emotional support dogs, right? That's not what this is.
Yeah.
It's not a service dog, right? Because that would be someone who needs like a CNI dog or somebody who has seizures or diabetes. And this dog is really trained to be clued in. But this is right under that, a working dog. So our working dog, Dwight, is a therapy dog. So he is part of the therapy team. So he's one of the therapists here.
Yeah.
Did you realize that?
That's awesome.
Okay, right. And so Bella will start training in August. She'll August 1st tomorrow. Okay. Oh my goodness, she's been with us a year tomorrow. August 1st, we got her last year. So I want her to be integrated for a year, right? Kind of learn Connie and Dwight and kind of know what things are. And she's doing pretty good. She's kind of found her way and find herself here. We rescued her. And so just kind of having her. So we're going to put her through the training. Yeah. And then she'll become a therapy dog and she will really she'll be effective. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about that. So that's the AAT. Yeah. The LPCA, it just means that we sat, so we fall under Health and Human Services, just like doctors and nurses and anything that's health related, right? Yeah. We sit under that. We are a health and services provider. Yeah. Just in case you didn't know that. Okay. We're not just some whimsical BHEC, board process out there. We took a state test, the licensing board, all that. So that's kind of where that comes from. But that means that we've completed graduate education, required examinations, and gaining supervised clinical experience toward an independent licensure. So like I mentioned earlier, 3,000 hours Kailey has to sit for, 1,500 direct client contact and 1,500 indirect.
Yes.
So, and then that will add to your development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, supervision, what does supervision add to your development?
Supervision has just given me very consistent place to reflect on my own clinical work. It strengthens the way I look at cases, my case conceptualization, think through ethical problems that might arise, right? And then treatment planning, right? And so those are kind of the things I reflect on in supervision with you, right? It is both supportive but also challenging in the best way, because you're able to ask me questions to help me see more clearly what I can do better for my clients, right? But you also encourage me of I have my own voice in here. God has given me my own gifts. And so how do I utilize what makes me as a clinician? Right. So I think that's just wonderful. Yeah.
And the other thing that might be challenging, I don't know, I want to just bring it up, yeah. When you're done with your supervision hours, you're going to know your rule book.
Yeah.
You're going to know your rule book.
I finished reading the entire thing this week, actually. Good. So, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now we'll break it down. We'll begin to kind of, that'll be the next assignment for the month of September. Yeah. But the idea, the reason is because your license is there.
Yes.
And if you don't, like you say, I found my voice. Yeah. I have my own voice God gave me. Yeah. Well, you might have to go speak at the board meeting, because there might be something that's getting ready to pass to say that you have to do that and tell you that you can't do Christian counseling, which is something I've been fighting with. Well, I realize now we're okay, but for the last 6 years, there was a fight against being able to be a Christian counselor. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But I found my voice and I would speak at these things. And so the idea of being able to go to the board meetings and teach you guys what that looks like, go to conferences, kind of that collaboration of things, right? So the last piece that you had mentioned, your own authentic self, right? Your counseling voice. That's so important.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah.
I want to help you. Mm-hmm. I want to help you. I want to help facilitate things for you. I want to help you find those extra little pieces. But at the end of the day, that last piece reflects what we say on our website. Yeah. And our goal is to help LPC associates find their own unique way of doing amazing work. Supervision is not about producing a copy of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't care to hear everybody in here talk like I do. As long as, well, there might be a formula foundation, which is Jesus, then that's the same.
Yeah.
But we still have a different walk with the Lord, and we're all at different places and all that.
Yeah.
It's about helping and developing a counselor become more competent, self-aware, ethical, and confident.
Yeah, and I appreciate that in supervision I can come in with questions without feeling like, oh, I already need to know everything there is to know about counseling. And I feel like that's never true because there's somebody new walking in every single day, right? But together we can review, okay, what are the client's needs, what's the reasoning behind the intervention, kind of like we talked about earlier, like is the exercise we're doing, the homework homework we're giving, worksheets, like are those actually what the client needs, right? Working on documentation, that's our note-taking process, right? The boundaries, right, of being a clinician, any risks that need to be assessed, and then some cultural or spiritual considerations in the client, right? Like, and also what am I noticing in myself? What do I as a clinician need to, in general, need to grow in? And every time I leave supervision, I leave with just room to grow, but also a sense of direction in whatever questions I brought in.
Well, and I have to remember that good supervision just protects the client.
Yes.
So rule number one,
yes,
protecting the client, do no harm. And while that might not be our mantra like the medical field is, it's still a mantra that I carry, right? Yes. Don't do anything that could hurt the client, right? And so make sure we're effectively communicating, following up, doing what's right, all those things, right? But it's also it's a way to grow the counselor, right? It includes honest feedback, accountability. I always talk about like expectations, policies, and procedures, the attention to the counselor's wellness, making sure, like, if you're overwhelmed and stressed out, I might make a recommendation for counseling for you. Yeah. And kind of give you, hey, you need to go. And I've always been taught, and I don't know if you were taught this in school, but a good counselor sees a counselor. Yeah. Okay. Because you have to have a place to kind of go and reset. And if you don't have a place to do that, every good counselor has a counselor. I have one. So, and I, and when I know I need to go, I go. And when and then, sometimes it's like once every couple, 3 months, just to kind of go reset, kind of make sure I'm good, because I don't want to have any of this stuff interfere with your stuff. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so that's pretty important. We can use individual, group, in person, distance formats as appropriate. The practice also creates opportunity for associates who need a place to practice. So that's the beautiful of having a supervisor. So if you want to work here, I want to be your supervisor because I'm going to be pouring into you. Yeah. Do you believe I do that? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And it's not just the once a week supervision, right? It's, hey, I can call you if something comes up, right? And within 24 hours, we've come up with something, right? Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, it's not a, I mean, I'd love to be your supervisor if you're working somewhere else. I'm still going to pour into you. Right? Yeah, absolutely. But if you want to work for me, I really, it's kind of something I want to see happen here, because I just believe that then you get the full picture of everything, all hands on deck. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk more about that group supervision too, right? I love being a part of it because I get to hear about other counselors as well in the field, other independently licensed counselors as well. I think it expands my perspective on the counseling field in general. But it also reminds me that like asking for consultation is a strength. Yes. Right. And so that supervision and consultation are two different things, right? Like the supervision is like, you're my supervisor, sign off on my notes and go through treatment plans together, right? But then the consultation is like professionals working together to expand the perspective, right, and the knowledge, and the support. And so I love seeing that consultation is a strength, and that we are responsible for using our resources. I'm responsible for going into group supervision, and using those resources, right, given to us. And
counseling shouldn't be practiced in isolation, right? It's a strength to have those people working alongside you. So,
right.
yeah.
Well, the culture of consultation and quality care is another reason we are grateful to share. Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy LLC for the second time as the top 3 counseling business Harris County, Texas has to offer. Kailey, finish the sentence. After supervision, I usually feel
more grounded. Sometimes I arrive with like 10 different thoughts competing for attention, all these questions, all these things. And I leave with just a little bit more clarity, right? Maybe a better question to ask a client at the next session, and just confidence about the next step moving forward.
Awesome. Awesome. People sometimes assume supervision is only for moments when something goes wrong. Oh, girl, I don't want it to be wrong.
No, no.
So we're proactive.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I was diagnosed with OCD about 26 years old. I'm pretty much a proactive person, so I don't react very well. So I'd rather kind of know ahead of, and that's what I've learned about you too. You really are a proactive person. Yeah. And we can react, but I don't do my best in a reaction. So I'd rather learn what all we need to do to set up things to the best of our ability. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect. It just means that's kind of really how I operate.
Yeah.
In reality, much of it's proactive, which I had mentioned, and we look ahead. We consider supervision is what information is missing.
Yeah.
And how progress will be measured, and whether the plan that we have fits, or how to maintain clear professional boundaries. We also revisit what is working so Kailey can understand why it is working, and we use learning intentionality. I love that she's already set boundaries. But some of that's kind of a testing tool. Like I'll throw things out just to kind of see where people are.
Yeah.
And then she's really good about, like, she sets boundaries.
Yes.
And so that tells me what she's going to do in the therapy room.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found that the reflective part of supervision changes how I prepare for sessions. Instead of just asking like, oh, what technique am I going to use? I ask, what does the client need from me today, from this relationship today? And what are we working towards? What evidence supports that direction? Because that's an important piece of counseling too, right? Evidence-based. And what assumptions might I be making, right? Everybody has assumptions going into everything, but my assumptions harming the client.
Right.
And if so, that you point me out on those things.
Right.
And is there something that I should consult about? Should I continue talking with you about a certain thing, talking with another one of our awesome clinical staff, right? These questions make me more thoughtful in that regard. Yeah.
I'm so thankful you brought up the clinical staff, because that collaboration really is, it really, when I see that happening, my heart is just so happy. Like, yes, it's happening.
Yes.
Right. And I just feel like, those are some really beautiful ways to kind of look at, what we're doing and how we're, building a camaraderie amongst one another. That makes this supervisor really happy. That also includes professional identity.
Yes.
Right? We talk about some habits that we have, the documentation, which I'm pretty stinking picky about, by the way. So there's clear expectations in how I want notes to be written. And so they'll go through their whole school. That's not how I did it. Well, it's not where you work anymore. It's not where you're doing things anymore. This is where you are, right? And so the communication, continuing education. As a supervisor, I am your continuing education.
Yes.
So that means that, like, whatever I assign, whatever I do, these are things that had to happen for the clinicians. And so I really try to be careful at how much I'm giving, in addition to knowing their workload.
Yes.
Counselors do their best to work. They do their best work also when they respect their own limits, which she does. And then support, kind of the support that's appropriate. I get that, right? But it's like, if they don't feel supported, they're not going to know what is appropriate.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that? Yeah. And so I think that, teaching them, hey, and praising.
Yes.
Like, praising goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, if all I notice is what's going on that's wrong, like, yeah, I wouldn't want to talk to me either. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I don't currently I don't have a door to my office, right? So I
Yeah.
usually say I'm going to go outside to my office and
Yeah.
talk, like in the driveway or somewhere out in the parking lot or whatever, right? But I don't really have a door, and so unless I come back into a therapy room, but most of the time the therapy rooms are being used. So so I just say that I really want you to know that I respect what you're doing. At the same time, that respect goes back and forth because when we do that, then we actually hear one another in such a way. And I don't demand it.
Yeah.
I believe that the relationship that I build with you, it actually just commands it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's organic and
yeah, for sure.
kind of those things, right?
Yeah.
And so that's my heart. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so you mentioned boundaries earlier, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go to those because that is one of the first things you learn about me is I take my clinical boundaries very seriously, and the reason I do that is not so I seem cold, right? It's because if I don't hold boundaries and prevent burnout, right? That's a huge thing. The boundaries are for me to prevent burnout, and if I don't make those boundaries, it will harm the client. Right, like
1,000%.
and so me creating those boundaries of in the workplace, but also in the boundaries of outside of here, right? Like, what do I not take home with me? That helps the client in return. And so, caring deeply about the client and having healthy boundaries they're not opposites.
Right.
They go hand in hand, and boundaries help create that consistency and safety.
So let's just kind of talk about this. Maybe you could take a couple minutes and we'll just kind of fly through this section a little bit.
Yeah.
What made you choose Illuminated Pathways?
I was drawn to the practices combination of faith and the evidence-based practices, right? And those were the two things I was looking for. And I saw and I was like, check those boxes, right? and the second I walked here that first time, I felt that the warmth as well and the clinical support. It feels personal here rather than institutional. It doesn't feel like I'm walking into a hospital. It doesn't feel like I'm walking into a clinic. Right. And for clients who walk with Christ and want faith incorporated, I love that we can include that in the healing process because it not only guides them towards stabilization, right, but towards flourishing. It's not just reducing anxiety, it's flourishing after that reduction has been completed, right? And I also value the commitment to customizing treatment and collaborating when appropriate.
Right. Yeah. Well, our public website does describe the benefits that include customizable treatment plans, as you mentioned, animal-based therapy, multidisciplinary collaboration, holistic options, collaboration with clients' doctors when they want that. I do ask, and I'll get a yes most of the time, but there are those rare occasions that's no. And then, nutritional education. I'm big on that. And I'm really big on that.
Yeah.
We want people to feel cared for as a whole, as human beings. And part of that is God has given us everything we need to help heal our bodies. And so just teaching people the routine of what they're doing, is it helping them or hurting them?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why I do all that.
And I also appreciate that there's room for creativity while remaining clinically grounded, right? A client may need conversation, skills practice, developmentally appropriate activities, or just a different pace, right? And the question is always what helps this person move towards the goals we agreed on together.
Right.
Yeah.
And our published mission statement regarding marriage is Illuminate Pathways mission is to glean from the Bible regarding marriage and visualize greatest relationship. And the one between God and his creation. The mission shapes our pro-marriage, biblically grounded approach while we continue to meet each client with compassion and careful attention. With that said, we also have a mission statement that just really does define what we do, who we are, and how we really want to bring individuals and families and couples back to God's original design.
Yeah, and to me, that just means hope is not an afterthought. Right. Clients may come in feeling disconnected, discouraged, or just completely unsure of where do I start? What's the next step here? We can honor the difficulty, but still help them look for a pathway forward. Hey, I see the struggle you're going through, but there is a light, right? There is a hope there. And this practice's mission and the trust of the community again makes this an especially meaningful place to begin. Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy LLC for the second time as top 3 counseling businesses in Harris County, Texas has to offer.
Why should a listener choose Illuminated Pathways? Because we offer intentionality, warm setting, individualized care, a range of clinicians and perspectives, faith integrated counseling for those who desire it, and a team culture that values supervision and consultation.
And because starting therapy can be vulnerable, right? We want the process from the first contact, right? That you calling the front desk to make that first appointment. We have a wonderful front desk staff, by the way.
We sure.
Through each session, right, to communicate you matter, your goals matter, and you do not have to navigate this alone. We want you to feel that every step of the way.
Very good. The name Illuminated Pathways has always carried a picture for me. Illuminated does not mean that every mile becomes visible at once, right? Sometimes there is enough light for the next step, and the idea of when I put that together, you know, the lighthouses in general are pretty significant for me because I grew up in Michigan, and lighthouses are all around the perimeter of Michigan. And so, and then going to Florida, often there's a bunch of lighthouses. And so, as a child and as a teen, a young adult, living there and traveling, I just love lighthouses. I have a bunch of them, right? And so, quite literally, I have a curio cabinet full of lighthouses. But the lighthouse in itself, right? The light helps, but the pathways, right? So there's this path, and so that path is not lit up yet. And then there's a place where it then lights up. So if you look at our logo, you'll see what I'm talking about and kind of see there was a lot of intentionality of how I put that together. It wasn't just by chance. Counseling can help a person notice that stuff, realizing when the pathway all of a sudden lights up. It's the epiphany, like you go, oh my goodness, this is happening.
Yes.
Has kept, and it helps them not stay stuck. And so when they can move with greater clarity.
Yeah, and I love that image because it also respects the client's agency and autonomy. And I've already said this before, a client is an expert in their own life, and the client gets to decide what values matter and what change they are ready to practice, right? It's about them. It's their room, right? Yeah. I just have the privilege of being there to help guide them through it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. We also recognize that healing can include mind, body, spirit relation, and the relationship and spirit, I guess I should say, with appropriate with appropriate consent.
Yeah.
And being consistent with that within professional roles. Care may include coordination with other providers. Like I had mentioned before, the collaboration of things that we do. The aim is not to force every service on every person or to be invasive, right? It's really the collaboration is to help do the right thing for the client or that is in front of us and provide them with actually extra things that they didn't even know that they might need. So I think that part is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And also choosing a practice, is not only about finding a name in a directory, people are looking for an environment and an approach where they can be honest. Illuminated Pathways is clear about its Christian identity. It hasn't been clear already, we're very clear about that in our pro-marriage mission, hope-centered approach. So our hope is that prospective clients can look at that and see what we're about and make an informed choice about whether we're a right fit or not.
Right. So let's make this practical. How can you find Kailey? Right. I want you to find Kailey. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that there's wisdom beyond her years. And I think that she does bring a lot to not just the room, but even to the business. She really is. When I say she's dynamite, and I mean that in a way, not the 70s idea of like hearing that, right? It's the idea of saying she's got so much energy. She lights up the space. And there's no explosion in a negative way, but her energy explodes and everybody can feel it. And I think everybody enjoys having her around. So I think that that's a really special part. So where can clients work with you?
So I currently am with Illuminated Pathways here in Nassau Bay, right? But I'm also in Missouri City. So that gives individuals and couples 2 ways to find me, right? 2 different places. And so listeners, right, y'all can contact the practice for my current availability, if either of those locations work for you, and determine which of those is the best fit.
To make that especially clear, Kailey's two service locations are Missouri City. So Missouri City's location is at Southminster Presbyterian Church. And that campus of that church is King's Academy Private School. And we have partnered with King's Academy Private School, and we reside inside the school. So that school, if you remember back early on, is an autism school. So families that might be needing to look for a place to have a specialized school for their kiddo, this is a place to really go look for that. And Dr. Wendy Lewis would be a great contact there. But that's where she's located. And I do know that Kailey and our team can help you with current scheduling details.
Yeah, and that first step is super easy. Just look on our website and give us a call, right? You don't need a perfectly organized explanation as to why you're calling us. Just say, what are you hoping for? Ask practical questions that you might need to know, and learn whether I or even another counselor on the team, right, may be a good fit for you.
And you can find our team on our website, by the way.
Yeah.
Meet the team, right?
Yeah.
So they're all there. They're all on there. And the other part of that too is just knowing that when you do go to the website, if you prefer to just click the button new client, just kind of click that, give out a little bit of information, let us, and sometimes in that information that you give, you can say where is the best place, when's the best time to contact you. If you work in a day job, is there an evening hour? You can also add that into the little note when you send that to us. But in the meantime, we'll reach back out to you. A good fit includes clinical needs, location, schedule, format, and the kind of therapeutic relationship that helps you feel safe enough to do meaningful work. If Kailey is not the best match, which is okay.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's why we have several.
Yeah.
We can help explore other options with that practice and who's available.
And, I just love for a prospective client to know that the first session is not a test. I said before, not performing, right?
Right.
I want clients to feel like they need to perform. We'll talk about what brings you in, what you want from counseling, your relevant history, your strengths and supports you already have, and what would help you feel comfortable moving forward. You already talked about the intake, so I won't go too much into depth, but that's really what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. People also wonder what to prepare, right? Like sometimes they've never been to therapy before.
Yeah.
And so we certainly want to make sure that we take our gloves off, if you will.
Yeah.
We're not ready to aim for battle of some sort. We want to let them know we're here for them. And so the counselor's approach, confidentiality and its limits, fees, scheduling, telehealth, that's all displayed in all the paperwork that you fill out.
Yes.
So that's the informed consent and the process and the different things and the requirements and your rights, the patient rights, right? And then we also have code of conduct of what we want every one of our patients to fill out. And so, and we want to just make counseling worthwhile for you. Yeah,
and it's okay if your goals coming in are not polished. Just something like, I just want to feel like myself again, or I would appreciate fewer arguments in the home, or I want to understand myself better. Why do I shut down, or whatever it might be? Those are all meaningful places to begin. And working together and getting, me getting to know you, we can turn a broad hope and a broad vision into specific realistic goals.
So location details and clinician schedules can change. So the website and practice contact are the best sources for current availability. So just please feel free to do that. You can call 972-768-0754. And you can mention that you're interested in working with Kailey and ask which service format or location are currently available to you. And maybe you're in Conroe. Or maybe you're in the Galleria area.
Yeah, we have
I work
too.
the Galleria area. And we have Lisa and Caitlin who will be out in the Conroe area.
Awesome.
And then, there's several here in NASA Bay. So just kind of know that we're all open and available and we'll try to meet you where you are. So let's finish this with a quick lightning round.
Yeah.
One word for this season of your career.
Illuminating, right? I'm just learning and stretching and seeing new possibilities every week. Yeah.
One quality you want every client to experience from you.
Genuine presence.
One myth about new counselors you would like to challenge.
That new means an alone or unsupported. As an LPC associate, I have formal supervision, consultation, continuing education, and a clear ethical responsibilities to seek guidance through those things. My fresh perspective is paired with oversight and accountability from the more experienced.
Yes. So, one message for the person who has been thinking about therapy but keeps putting it off.
You're allowed to begin before you feel completely ready. Reaching out can be a small act of courage, right? Ask your questions, notice how the conversation feels, and just from there, kind of figure out what the next step is for you.
Right. So, as we close, we are proud to repeat the recognition that frames today's celebration. Google has rated Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy LLC for the second time as the top 3 counseling businesses Harris County, Texas has to offer. Kailey, I'm thrilled that you are part of Illuminated Pathways. I really am. Your excitement, your dynamic excitement. I don't know. I might have to kind of figure out how to do that. Usually you say Rock and Rhonda. Well, Clay Clark calls me Rock and Rhonda, right? But I got to figure out how to do dynamic. I got to find something that goes
there.
with it.
Yeah.
Kailey.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, the humility and commitment and learning to our gifts, to this team. And I thank you for that and the clients that you'll serve.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. I'm grateful for your supervision and care for the whole team and for every client who trusts us with that part of their story, right?
Amen.
I'm ready to keep learning and honored to walk alongside people as they illuminate their own pathways towards healing and growth.
So to learn more or request an appointment, visit illuminatedpathways-therapy.net or call 972-768-0754. Please remember that a podcast is educational and is not a substitute for counseling, diagnosis, or emergency care. If you are in immediate danger, call 911. In the United States, you can also call or text 988 for crisis support. Thank you for listening. So, Illuminated Pathways Family Therapy, LLC, provides counseling through Christian whole person lens with clinicians serving the Houston area, Conroe, Missouri City, and eligible Texas clients through available virtual services. We do telehealth. That's really what that means. So, no matter where you are in the state of Texas, we can take care of you. Clinician availability and location assignments may change. Visit illuminatedpathways-therapy.net for current information. Thank you so much for being part of it and watching us today.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And you guys have a blessed day.
Yes.
Hope to see you soon.